I swear, if I'm talking about this guy so much before he's actually in F1, God knows what he's going to be like when he's, actually in the sport. Hey there folks, and welcome to this video here. I'm talking about Nikita Mazepin and contents of an Instagram story uploaded last night and reaction to it. And bear in mind, I will be discussing some of the content in it, so this is a general kind of content or trigger warning for anybody who has triggers talking about any kind of sexual assault. So last night, a video was uploaded onto Mazepin's Instagram, where the person who's filming looks into the back of a car. She's a woman whose cleavage is on display, which, by the way, is a violation of Instagram's terms of service, and then proceeds to reach into the back of the car and gropes her. On the actual video, her face is visible, and she's actually tagged. Though most of the re-uploads you'll find will have quite, rationally hidden these details. So this morning, actually in the hour before making this video, Haas have released a statement saying Haas F1 team does not condone the behaviour of Nikita Mazepin in the video recently posted on his social media. Additionally, the fact that the video was posted on social media is abhorrent to Haas F1 team. The matter is being dealt with internally and no further comment shall be made at this time. So that indicates that it was actually Mazepin who filmed it and carried out the action. Mazepin himself posted a statement on his Twitter saying, "I would like to apologise for my recent actions, both in terms of my own behaviour, and my own inappropriate behaviour, should I say, and the fact that it was posted on social media. I'm sorry for the offence that I have rightly caused and to the embarrassment I have brought to Haas F1 team. I have to hold myself to a higher standard as a Formula 1 driver, and I acknowledge that I have let myself and many people down. I promise I will learn from this." And this is all just standard boilerplate stuff when someone gets embroiled in controversy. That is not really a kind of apology, because it's it's one of those kinds of screenshots of a text post on Twitter. He's not sorry about the offence he's caused or the embarrassment he's brought to Haas. He was sorry about the fact he was called out. Nikita Mazepin has been called out for many things in his career, and bear in mind, this guy is the same age as myself. So it's not a thing of, oh, he's just a kid. I wouldn't be doing this kind of stuff. And if I have to hold myself to that kind of standard, anybody should have to hold themselves to that kind of standard. It's just how society works. Now, Mazepin has been embroiled in these kinds of scandals before. Not necessarily in this nature, but he got a race ban in his junior career for attacking Callum Ilott. In addition to that, in the past year, he's also posted a joke revolving around the idea that someone Wuhan ate a bat and that's responsible for the current global pandemic. And at the same time, posted comments on George Russell's Instagram about a coming out. There's that and more. I will link a Twitter thread about it in the description down below. But yeah, that's why it says to me, he's sorry that he got caught, that he got called out, and that it provoked the team to make a statement denouncing him. This is basically that. And we've seen people fired for less this year, or lose sponsors for less in motorsport. We saw Bubba Wallace lose a sponsor for rage quitting out of a iRacing race, which, is quite boilerplate in iRacing. We saw Kyle Larson sacked for using a racial slur. And we saw Daniel Abt sacked by Audi for hiring a ringer to race for him in an esports race. In F1, Carlos Sainz made a joke about a cat walking into a kitchen in China and never being seen again. Max Verstappen used ableist and racist slurs against Lance Stroll over team radio. Kimi Räikkönen shows up to the grid most weeks wearing a mask with an iron cross on it. And In addition to that, you have the likes of Daniel Kvyat saying there is no racism in Russia. You have Vitaly Petrov nearly getting a stewardship despite making homophobic remarks that if Lewis Hamilton was to say that he was gay, he would force every other driver to be gay and there would be rainbow flags everywhere. Completely ignoring the point of the fact that Re Racist 1 is the Colours of Progress Pride flag, but that's a problem with Re Racist 1 as general. And yeah, this has not been a great year for F1. F1 likes to talk the talk, but not walk the walk when it comes to equality, or inequality and injustice. That Carlos Sainz comment I mentioned, supposedly, when people ask about it, it gets hushed under. When you see journalists talking about Kimi Räikkönen's mask, they get all kinds of hatred sent their way for no reason whatsoever. It's just a matter of saying, you know, if you're going to a protest saying end racism, do not wear a mask with an iron cross on it. With all the connotations that showing up to an end racism event with a mask with an iron cross on it says about your own kind of ideology. If you're Max Verstappen, you should apologise and not cause the government of a country to say, well, we'll take these matters higher if F1 does nothing. So, at least in this circumstance, we're actually getting an apology out of it. Whether or not it's sincere, that's up to you guys to decide. I'm not going to create any kind of speculation in this video, but I know my own opinions. But even as a kind of like boilerplate thing, this kind of text notes thing that's posted onto Twitter, and by the way, Mazepin cleaned out his Twitter when he was announced for Haas, it's still some kind of an apology. And the fact that him doing that after what he's done is better than a lot of F1 drivers, better than somebody that people are calling the greatest F1 driver out there at the moment, that's shocking for this sport. Now, there are a lot of people saying, you know, Mazepin should lose his drive, or he should have to pay a fine. Yeah, definitely pay a fine. But at the same time, those standards have to be brought against people like Carlos Sainz, against people like Max Verstappen. There's not really any kind of reason that F1 shouldn't do that. If you're holding this new kid to these kinds of standards, you should be holding the people who are at the highest of the highs in F1 to that kind of standard. That's just common sense. So the fact that F1 still hasn't actively called out Max Verstappen, still hasn't pressured him to actually apologise, because remember, he didn't actually apologise. And yet, Mazepin is in a position where he does apologise. What Mazepin has done is wrong. And honestly, I would expect a driver, if they weren't in the kind of position as Mazepin, to lose their seat in F1 over this. We have to remember that F1 has still been horrible this year. They've been horrible at dealing with this stuff. We Racist 1 is failed. So, yeah. Mazepin has done horrible stuff. Incredibly horrible stuff. He'd already apologised for this one, in my opinion. Because he forced his team to make a statement. Because he hasn't apologised about any other stuff. But the fact that him apologising, or however sincere you want to consider this apology, has happened, and the fact that the likes of Verstappen still haven't apologised, says something about the sorry state that F1's found itself in. Thank you for watching.